Hello there, friends and family. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are presenting Hausa cocoa, but this time we're using millet flour, not the grains, as I did in my previous video. Now, in my previous video, I stated that I was recently visiting family in Canada, where my mom had brought some millet grains from Ghana. And I've been very determined to share how to use the raw ingredients in preparing millet Hausa cocoa. Now, when most of you watched the video, you suggested that I could also use the millet flour. And then there were a few requests to demonstrate how to use the millet flour in preparing millet Hausa cocoa. So friends and family, I present this video based solely on your requests and your suggestions. Now, I recently visited Bati, which is an authentic Ethiopian grocery store located in the Phoenix metropolitan area, where I met Asmera, who is the wife, the mother, and the co-owner of Bati, as well as her son and her very beautiful daughter. And I went there actually to buy ingredients to prepare doughnut, which is Ethiopian chicken stew. And there it was. I found the millet flour. So here we go. We're killing two birds with one stone today. So we're using the same ingredients I used in the previous millet cocoa video. So I have my chilies that are going in right now. I have the whentia, and then I also have the black peppercorns, ginger, and cloves. All of those are in the blender right now. I've added some water to it, and I'm going to blend these ingredients separately from the millet this time, because we're going to strain this. All right, so blend it till you get it as smooth as possible and strain it, because we do not need the roughage. Set the roughage aside. Do not throw it away, because you know what? I am going to use it in preparing kilewele, which is a Ghanaian fried ripened plantain spiced street food. A mouthful, and it's so delicious at that. All right, it's a mouthful of deliciousness, so I'm not throwing this chaff away at all. I'll save it for that. We use the same ingredients plus a couple others, so it'll become useful later on. So this is what we get, and here is the millet flour. So I pour the entire bag of millet flour into my bowl here, and look at the texture. It is very smooth. So there'll be no straining here today. I remember somebody made a comment and said the original Hausa cocoa with millet does not involve straining the actual millet. So this will not involve that at all. So we're going to cook it the way it is done with the millet flour, and there will be no straining involved. So I poured in the strained spice mixture and mixed it in, and I'm going to add a little more water, because what I'm trying to get here is a dough. Okay, now this dough will also become the dough for preparing fula or fura. I think it's fula, that's the original name, which is another dish prepared from the northern side of Ghana, using millet as the main ingredient. So that video is also coming up next. So here is our dough. It is ready. And look at that. The texture is smooth. Oh, I cannot wait to make cocoa out of this, and the fula. Oh, yes. So keep staying tuned. So I take a full cup of this dough, and that's what I'm going to be using to prepare the Hausa cocoa. So to that, in a different bowl or in a separate bowl, I add some water, whisk it together so it is completely combined. And then I cover it with a cling film, because I'm going to allow it to ferment over 24 hours. Your Hausa cocoa needs a slight bit of fermentation when you're using the millet flour. So 24 hours later, here it is. That fermentation really enhances the flavor and the taste of the cocoa. You need that slight bit of a bite and tanginess from the fermentation. I strained the liquid that settled on the top, because there were a few sediments in there. Once I strain it, the rest of the actual millet food left on the bottom, I whisk it together with a little bit of the fluid that was left in there until I get a smooth puree. And we are going to boil the liquid that settled on the top. Now that it's come to a rolling boil, You turn the heat off completely, and that is how original millet Hausa cocoa is prepared, without any heat source on the bottom of the pan. Now you're going to whisk in your millet mixture into the hot liquid, and you whisk it in well, because your goal is to get a smooth, silky, glossy Hausa cocoa texture, just like that. So friends, if you are wondering what the difference is between this recipe and the previous one, wonder no more, because there isn't any difference in taste or in texture. They are very, very much the same. However, this preparation is less arduous and you get all your nutrients without straining them out. So I thank you so much for your suggestions. I'm not only here to teach, but I'm also here to learn. So I welcome all of your suggestions. Please keep them coming. And thank you all so much for watching, for supporting your sister. May God bless you all. Make it a great day and have fun, especially where? In that kitchen.